We wanted to give you a little snippet of a surprise visitor to the White House press briefing room yesterday. We'll be back after that.
We have the Pony Espresso, a fine American model, based on the history of the Pony Express.
And you bought this?
Well, long ago, I would have bought this probably $1990. So let me see what I can do for this, the poor slobs in the Fourth Estate here.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez.
You are supposed to clean this after every use. You're supposed to wipe that off.
Some scolding there for the White House press corps from Tom Hanks, and that was Steven Spielberg with an iPhone. He was shooting it. You'd think he'd get better equipment.
He was scolding them for how they treated this coffee maker that
yes,
he
that
supplied.
He gave them.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
that he gave them. We're joined now by Adam Nagurny from the New York Times. Thanks for being with us. And I want to pick up on something we heard from Congressman Dreyer, and obviously the healthcare debate is consuming everything now. Does the process matter, do you think, at this point, or Democrats just need to be thinking bill, bill, bill? It doesn't really matter how you get there.
I think process matters to some extent. I think Democrats will tell you in the long run, people don't really focus on process. They focus on the bill itself and the result itself. There isn't a long history of people sort of getting flipped out by process. What Democrats have not done well to date is to sort of push back on this whole thing, right? And you've seen it over the past couple of days when they start talking about a simple majority vote, which I think is a simple way, if you will, to sort of push back on the reconciliation thing. So, but I think that in the end, this will not be as big a deal as the bill itself.
Right. So, and that's sort of what a lot of Democrats on the Hill seem to think is that once you get to the signature part of this and it becomes law, the whole conversation changes. Nobody's going to remember how it got there. However, for months now, and granted the bill's not done, we have seen a lot of anger about Cornhusker kickback, Louisiana Purchase, real process stuff that seemed to have resonated with the public.
Yeah, I think I would differentiate between that and reconciliation. I think reconciliation inside baseball, I think that stuff really, really, really did resonate. I think that was a real problem. And I think what Democrats are basically saying, we get this bill passed, we move on, we do unemployment, we stop blah, 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 and that people will be okay with it by November. I don't know. That's like the million-dollar question here, right? And that's the big debate that both sides are saying, that Republicans want to make this a referendum about the health care plan. Well, so do Democrats. And I have no idea how it's going to turn out in the end.
And if that's the million-dollar question, maybe the $2 million question is raised by a Washington Post op-ed today. Former pollsters for Presidents Clinton and Carter saying that this is a political loser. We put the question out to the Twitterverse today, asking whether it would ignite a voter backlash or whether the Democrats would have something to sell. Responses from D. Wyeth: people don't like the bill until you tell them what's in it. Then they like it, and the Dems will dominate in November. That's wishful thinking, perhaps. And maybe tweet: it's hard to imagine their sales job will get any better than the bill has been for a year now. Obviously, like you say, both sides convinced maybe equally that, that this is a political winner for them.
I mean, first of all, I don't think the Democrats have done a particularly good job of selling the bill to date. That said, they are now in a position where Republicans will be able to get up there and say, you guys passed the bill that was opposed by the overwhelming majority or majority of American people. Now, we can parse these polls and say, well, they support this, they support that, but that's still, I think, a pretty sort of strong talking point.
Can you think of a different political argument where both sides were so committed on the same issue that they're opposing points of view on it, whether or not it'll resonate and the way it'll resonate?
Can you?
No, and I'm having a tough time.
The war, Iraq, no, right?
No.
We never got engaged like that. So I think it's really, you have two very different sides, people who really disagree on this, on the politics of it and the policy of it. And I think that's what this election is going to be about, with one caveat, if you don't mind. So I was about to say, one thing we've learned again and again in this environment is the attention span, ADD America here, right? So, like, who knows, if we're here 6 months from now, we might be talking about something completely different. But that said, this seems like a powerful issue that the Democrats have clearly decided to roll the dice on.
I want to get your thoughts briefly on the palace intrigue that we've heard so much about. The cover of the New York Times Magazine is this weekend. Your colleague Peter Baker, Rahm-ism is the title. Then we had just last weekend an Axelrod profile on the front page of the Sunday New York Times. Is this distracting the White House, do you think? And are we even focusing on the right issues here?
Well, do I think it's distracting the White House? Yes. To what extent do I think is there a real rivalry in the White House? I think Peter Baker did a very skillful job in talking about how there might be some exaggeration in this hothouse that is Washington about what is really going on in there. I mean, my own impression is that Rahm clearly has different views than the president on how to proceed on some of this stuff. But one thing, and I don't think he really makes a secret of it, but one thing that he does not do, in my opinion, I think Peter says it too, is he's not disloyal to the president. When the president says, we're going to go full out on health care, that's what he's going to do.
And he and Axe aren't necessarily at odds.
I don't think, any more than over trivial stuff, actually.
All right, Adam Nagurny from the New York Times, thanks for being here. Really
Thank
appreciate
you very
it.
much, Adam. That does it for this edition of Top Line. Be sure to tune into This Week, This Sunday. In fact, David Axelrod, the chief political advisor to the president, will be Jake Tapper's guest, followed by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
Graham is in the middle of everything.
Everything right now. Yeah. Have a good weekend. Check us on again Monday.